Welcome back. I'm Carolyn Peters from Kira Studios, and today I'm talking about different drawing supplies and how to use them for different results. When you draw, you want to be really clear about what the purpose of your drawing is. Is it to create a sketch where you create a composition or are generating a new character and you're basically drawing in a sketchbook or on something that's kind of like a throwaway material? Or are you creating a more finished, more polished, more rendered drawing? Because both types of drawing will need different kind of tools. So when you begin with what you are about to draw, that will determine the choice of material. So for generating compositional drawings or little sketches in your sketchbook, I recommend you use materials that are non-smudgy. And your top three choices are pen and ink. We went into detail about that last week, so if you haven't caught that video, get back to last week's video to get the details on which types of pen and ink you can use. You have color pencils as an option. I kind of like the very thin from Sanford, and then obviously your graphites are going to be a great choice for sketching. So let me go into detail about the different graphite options that you have. So most stereotypical graphite would be a graphite lead that's encased in wood, and I really like the Faber-Castell brand. I think they make a nice rich graphite. Another good brand that you can work with is the Stettler. I like those ones as well, the Mars Lumographs. They come in different ranges from 7H to 7B, so you get a nice range from hard to soft, meaning from light to dark. You can also go for a woodless pencil. I prefer the woodless pencil when I want to do a little bit more value work and I want to use the side of the pencil more. So if I use the side of the pencil, I get a even tone, and then of course I can draw on the tip of it and create more line work. And then of course you also have your mechanical pencil as a choice. The main benefit is that you always have a fine point on it. It definitely doesn't smudge as much as these two options, and also if you're concerned about producing waste, here you just refill the lead. It comes out like this, and you're not producing a lot of waste, and it always gives you a nice thin mark. For drawings where I want to combine line and tone, like with a longer figure drawing, longer meaning like 20 minutes or 40 minutes, where I still want to combine line as well as tone, I like either a Conte pencil. Notice how it's a little bit broader of a tip, and the nice thing is about them, if you combine them with a smooth newsprint paper, they really glide over the page really nicely, and you can get these nice broad tones with the side as well as nice thin lines with the tip. And this, you get a similar effect with the Wolf Carbons, especially if you go into a softer grade like the 4Bs, which I think this one is a 4B here. This one isn't quite as broad as the Conte, but it behaves pretty much in the same way. For a charcoal drawing where you want to have very controlled values, I recommend working on toned paper, and you would begin with a piece of vine charcoal. So vine charcoal is basically just a burnt twig, burnt branch, and the thing is that it's super forgiving, and you use this as your underdrawing. So you use this to create your linear underdrawing, to indicate where your proportions will be situated, where your plane changes will be at. And then when you have your shapes, you dust this off with a paper towel or a chamois, and you will have a ghost of your underdrawing left over, but you don't have any dark lines. And then you will work over this with your charcoal pencils, and you have a couple different brands you can choose from. So this one is Primo, which I kind of like those. This is a Ritmo by Art Alternatives, which is pretty good too. This one everybody probably knows, these the General's charcoal brand. I don't like them too much because I feel like their softness is often inconsistent, and especially with the hard blends, I find them they're a little bit tricky to work with. And then if you feel like you're heavy-handed, maybe these are not the best choice for you because they're powdery and a little bit harder to control. So for that, I recommend the Create a Color Nero brand, where again you have extra hard to extra soft, that range. It feels a little bit more like a graphite pencil, but it has a slightly richer color to it. Not quite as dark as these here, but it's getting close. So this might be a good transition medium for you if you're comfortable with graphite but want to transition into charcoal. And then once you have your shadows established with this stuff, you grab a white chalk pencil and you build your lights with that. And of course you'll be using your kneaded eraser to make any corrections as you go. If you want to create a fully rendered value drawing, but you want it to have a very delicate feel, maybe skip the charcoal and opt for a graphite tool. For a more gestural, expressive charcoal drawing where you still want to build a nice value range, I really like working with compressed charcoal. In particular, I like the charcoal brand. And what you can do with this is you can create these nice broad marks. You can then smudge it with your hands. You get really dirty hands though. You will want to use an eraser and then erase your light shapes back out. You can break the pieces into smaller segments and then get smaller shapes depending on what you need. You can re-erase as much as you want. And then if you get into smaller details, especially on a portrait like I showed you earlier, you can use pencil erasers and erase smaller shapes out. And then if you want to come back into this with more detail, you can work back into it with charcoal pencils and create more precise shapes. So when I do that, I like working with the Ritmo pencils.